I've heard a lot of people like asking, what is a Groyper? A Groyper is basically just a Nick Fuentes fan. This is Nick Fuentes on screen here. It's a right-wing movement, a far-right movement. In fact, they identify as neo-Nazis oftentimes. And Nick Fuentes, is the head Groyper or whatever, believes that Hitler did a lot of heroic things. Their symbol is the little frog here. It started with the Pepe meme. If you've ever seen the Pepe meme, Pepe the frog, that's why they have the frog symbol here. I think this is like a month before the attack took place, and he's going to war, quote unquote, with Donald Trump. Groyper War 2.0 or something is what he calls it. And he's going to war with Trump because he's unhappy with the fact that he's not doing enough deportations. He wants more deportations, more harsh treatment for immigrants than Trump is providing. And he feels like Donald Trump is a corrupt scumbag, which he incidentally got right. But listen to this advertisement for Groyper War 2.
I am declaring a new Groyper war against the Trump campaign until we can figure out what the hell is going on.
That's a Trump quote.
I'm declaring a new Groyper war. You have alienated us. You have ignored us. You don't listen to our concerns.
FYI, this is very obviously political propaganda that's like deeply harmful and may resonate with some people. I want everyone to understand these are neo-Nazis, and if they just came out and gave us the real beliefs that they really have, nobody would ever give this another thought. Nobody would ever consider supporting anything like this. So before we continue, let me just show you one quick clip that Fuentes said recently, just to contextualize what kind of person this is, and then we'll go back to it.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry. It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a f.
That's the kind of person he is. I have 1,000 of these clips. What he's produced here is called populism. It's a populist message that appeals to a very broad group of people who feel that they've been left out of the political whatever. They've been left behind. And he sticks in little dog whistles, little signals to the groups that he really wants to draw attention to without actually drawing attention to them. If you notice, we've got somebody here wearing a yarmulke, a Jewish hat, locking them out of the political system, implying Jews control the world.
Declaring a new Groyper war. You have alienated us. You have ignored us. You don't listen to our concerns. We have been left behind. The Trump movement and the GOP have moved on without us. It serves Israel and corporations and immigrants, but it doesn't serve Native Americans.
Native Americans being him. He thinks that Aryans are Native Americans, effectively. Like Native American as opposed to immigrant. He thinks that we've been, we being like white Europeans have lived in America for 2,000 years or something. It's like absurd.
What about Native Americans? What about Americans?
This one right here, this Burger King hat, if you notice, this is a meme that was circulating forever ago of a dude that had a Burger King hat on that was screaming the N-word on a plane over and over and over again, if I remember correctly. And it became a challenge. 4chan nutcases would go on a plane and start screaming the N-word randomly wearing a Burger King hat. It was a trend. So this frog, this Groyper on this plane wearing this Burger King hat, they're sending a very specific message, right?
About Native Americans? What about Americans? What about young white men? But what about us?
I mean, you're seeing the armbands. This is very reminiscent of Nazi Germany. Again, he supports Hitler. He thought Hitler did a lot of good things.
Charlie Kirk is to the right of Trump on immigration. That's unacceptable. So I think it's time for another Groyper war. We're bigger better, stronger than ever. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Rumble. This is a big live stream every night. We have allies, so I think it's time to up the ante a little bit. And this time, we're going all out. Justice once, and we will bring the energy. I'm done. I'm done playing around. I'm done sitting on the sidelines and complaining. Are you happy? I'm done sitting around and being blamed and accused, complaining about how it's not going well. I'm going to use my leverage. I'm going to do something about it. We have power. It's just a question of whether they want to get on board or get out of the way. That's the question.
It's just a question of whether they want to get on board or get out of the way. I'm done. I'm done complaining and sitting on the sidelines.
Here we will break, the Groypers will bring the...
And you're seeing this too, right? I mean, literally everything in this as political propaganda was placed there for a very specific reason. We have a Jewish guy who actually looks Amish, but okay, that's controlling the world like a puppet master. Those types of things are all through this video.
Groypers will bring the energy. Memes, edits, replies.
I'm sorry. We have to take it one step at a time here. So we've got this Jewish puppet master. Next clip is Jews. Basically, they're implying they're worshiping Satan, right? Sitting around with their yarmulkes on around a pentagram.
Memes, edits, replies, trolls. Get with us or get the f out of the way. Groyper War 2 coming soon.
Anyway, then he advertises for his Rumble or whatever. But the point is that this is political propaganda that's very, very similar to the type of that far-right authoritarian extremist leaders around the world would release, that the Patriot Front people release. Is very similar to that. And it's the type of that Hitler would have released if he had access to AI tools. God help us. Fuentes is a monstrously evil human being, but he sounds very reasonable in a lot of ways. That's populism. That is populism. It sounds reasonable because they're drawing a line between the weak and the strong, and they're sick of being the weak. They're sick of being downtrodden and taken advantage of. You know, they're in it for the little guy, and 90% of the country identifies as the little guy, so they feel like they're supporting them when they're not. It's all about political power for him. Listen to this dude kind of break down some of the connections between the Groyper movement and the motivations or possible motivations of the Charlie Kirk attacker.
To really understand the far-right brain slop that went into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we're going to have to understand Groypers. And I apologize in advance, this is going to get very stupid very fast. So most people think that the MAGA movement is the far right of the Republican Party, but in fact they are quite wrong. The far right of the Republican Party is a group known as the Groypers, which is a far-right white nationalist coalition that is effectively a personality cult around a young man named Nick Fuentes.
Right, and he says white nationalist. I feel like there's a distinction to be found between white nationalist and Nazi at this immediate moment. Fuentes is an actual Nazi, not just a white nationalist. I want to make sure that's clear.
Nick's ideology is a mixture of fascism in the vein of Mussolini or Dollfuss, Catholic integralism, or clerical fascism. These are very, very intense and fringe ideological positions. Nick also toys with neo-Nazism and has even quoted himself saying, I am, well, you know,
Wait, what was it? He put it on screen. He said, I'm just like Hitler. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Well,
February 2022. I don't think I've heard that one, but yeah. I mean, he says that kind of thing all the time, so.
You know, Nick Fuentes' goal is to...
Isn't he technically not white? You're correct. He's 1/4 Mexican. His grandfather, I think, was Mexican. Fuentes is a Mexican name. So, yeah. But that doesn't stop him, I guess.
Fuentes' goal is to work within the system to push the Republican Party even further to the far right. For him, MAGA is liberalism. And for Nick Fuentes, his biggest rival was Charlie Kirk. There have been what are called Groyper wars, literally two separate Groyper wars. And you need to understand, when I'm saying that the Groypers are a cult, he even has Groyper generals organized in a paramilitary fashion. Because Charlie Kirk had a massive organization, even back in 2019 when the first Groyper War starts, of 400 chapters at universities across the United States. This meant that Nick saw Charlie as the main person to be taking down so that he would be able to influence young people in the Republican Party more.
Right. So Nick Fuentes started criticizing Charlie Kirk heavily because he said he did not represent the people, if you will, and that he represented the big interests, as evidenced by his quote-unquote support of Israel or whatever. This is not black and white. Everything that I'm saying right now, like everything that I just quoted Nick is saying, is way more nuanced than Nick wants it to seem. But that's how he frames it up very intentionally. So he wanted to take out Charlie Kirk, probably not literally, not through these means, if I had to guess. But he wanted to remove Charlie Kirk, or dethrone him, I guess, so that he could fill that power vacuum. And he just may now.
And more importantly, he also understood he could use Charlie's events to push his own positions and also carve off people into his own movement. This included a tactic known as question and answer trolling, where he'd have his Groypers go up and line up one after another and ask increasingly extreme questions to Charlie Kirk to make him seem like a moderate in their eyes.
Isn't that interesting? He had people go there and harass Charlie Kirk at his events. Somebody asks, has Nick Fuentes been quiet since the attack? And the answer is no. He's actually responded a lot. Here's one thing he said. Left is now shamelessly trying to blame the right for the murder of Charlie Kirk, which they've been openly celebrating and justifying for days. He's identifying himself with the right. I'm not the enemy. They are the enemy. They have no charity, no love, or humanity for any of us or our families. We must take power for our own survival. We win or we die. He's turning it on the left and trying to inflame tensions and make things worse and more disturbing.
Keep in mind, Charlie Kirk has some incredibly extreme views of his own, but you have to understand there are many different tendencies within the far right. And I need to stress that Nick's views are incredibly misogynistic and also incredibly anti-Semitic. This is
right. Just to read what he put up on screen. Quote, I'm not making overtures to sexist men. I am a sexist man. Here's another. Matt Rinaldi has been defiant amid calls for him to cut ties with political ally Jonathan Stickland after meeting with white supremacist Nick Fuentes. Rinaldi is also accused of embracing anti-Semitic leaders of a new Young Republicans organization. Do you guys remember when Kanye just went off the rails and started doing all that crazy stuff, and Donald Trump invited him to the White House for dinner and all that? He went with Nick Fuentes. Kanye West's ideology is Nick Fuentes' ideology. They came from the same place.
Semitic. This is one of the main reasons he was against Charlie Kirk, which is because Charlie Kirk was not anti-Israel. And Nick Fuentes' anti-Israel advocacy is something that he was able to carve into getting a lot more of a mainstream audience after October 7th. Because Nick Fuentes is smart enough to know that if he puts out a certain level of comms that is not overtly super far right, then he can get followers based on that. Meaning he was using Palestinian suffering to grow his white nationalist movement.
Right, like he doesn't care about Palestinians, never did. In fact, he hates Muslims, and he hates Jews, and, any group that's not white and Christian and male, effectively. He is using suffering to his advantage.
The Groypers are driven by memes, as we can see in the engraving in the bullets shot and not shot at Charlie Kirk.
Right, the engravings, according to the Utah governor, supposedly were notices bulges, oh whoa, what's this? That is a Groyper meme. Hey fascist, catch. Another Groyper meme. Up arrow, right arrow, 3 down arrows. That's from Helldiver 2, I think. It's the big bomb drop. Oh, bella chow, chow, chow. That's a Groyper meme. They were making fun of people fighting fascism in Italy, which is where that song is from. If you read this, you are gay, Lamau. This is all Groyper stuff. So I don't know what the shooter is going to turn out to be. I don't know if he's going to turn out to be, a left winger or had a political whatever. I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know that he is aware of Nick Fuentes and his movement, and aware enough of it that he is aware of the memes, the internal memes that these people use.
We see 4 different memes here, many of them from video games. For example, the one that was shot at Charlie Kirk references a meme that's against furries.
Yeah, so this is an anti-furry meme. Hee, you're cute. Flops beside you and nuzzles. Aw, nuzzles you back and pounces on you and notices your bulge. Oh, what's this? It's just kind of making a joke that trans people and or furries are weird and creepy and all that. So it was a transphobic meme, a hateful, vile, transphobic meme. It would surprise me if this person was not transphobic as it gets based on the things that he put on the casings.
A second engraving that's a reference to the very popular game Helldivers, which is actually a satire against fascism. A third that is a reference to a streamer that sings opera as he's playing first-person shooters and going after people. Or it could be related to one of 2 Spotify playlists for the Groyper Wars, which both feature a remix version of Bella Ciao. The fourth is just a...
That's really interesting, right? Things starting to kind of fall into place. Groyper, everything about what the attacker did was all based on Groyper memes. It could not possibly be clearer. The dude, at the very bare minimum, knew who Nick Fuentes was and was involved enough in his community to know his internal memes.
Fourth is just a basic internet troll. If you read this, you're gay. Now, recently, the Groypers have both declared war on Charlie Kirk last year and also more recently on Trump and MAGA as a general thing. So what we are seeing right here is right-on-right crime. And whether this guy is an actual Groyper or just adjacent to the movement, he's obviously evoking these memes for that purpose. We have to understand that far-right shooter after far-right shooter have used memes to present themselves to the other people in their movement across the internet. And Nick is not a pariah. He has his own think tank. He runs his own major conference. People in the...
Yeah, a major conference that Marjorie Taylor Greene attended. She went to Nick Fuentes' conference and spoke there. Nick Fuentes is the leader of the America First political party. There's a party called America First. And it started out originally in the 1940s or 30s as effectively a pro-Nazi party. Their whole thing was isolationism. Don't get involved in World War II. We don't want anything to do with it. A lot like you see now. Don't get involved in Ukraine. We shouldn't be spending money in Ukraine, right? Why? What purpose does that serve? Ultimately, it serves the purpose of helping Russia win. It was the same in the 30s and the 40s with the America First Party. They held rallies with giant swastikas and stuff. The America First Party did back then. And Nick Fuentes has picked up that banner once again. Here you go. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene at the conference. This is Nick Fuentes' America First conference.
My name is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I am the daughter of the King, the one true living God, the Alpha, the Omega, our Father in heaven, and I am a forgiven sinner, washed in the blood of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
They're yelling Christ is King. That's also a Nazi dog whistle created by Groypers intentionally and specifically to filter out people, to filter out Jews. Because saying God bless America or whatever is something most people could get on board with in the US, including Jews. But they can't say Christ is King. It narrows people down, is the point. And here's Nick Fuentes on stage introducing Marjorie Taylor Greene.
We have a new mystery speaker tonight who I'll be announcing to you right now. Very exciting. She is a standard bearer of Trumpism in the U.S. Congress. She is pro-life. She is proudly America First. And I want to say a very special thank you to Milo Yiannopoulos for making this happen. He made this happen.
Dude, they hate each other now, I think. God, there's so much internal drama on the right. Like, Yiannopoulos is mortal enemies with certain people. I think Laura Loomer is mortal enemies with him now. I think Fuentes is a mortal enemy to Laura Loomer. I don't even remember. There's so much hate and divisiveness and anger in these circles.
Put it together. Whoops. That's Milo over there. He's throwing some stuff around.
Anyway, the point is that the Groyper movement, led by Nick Fuentes, is an extremist movement that is to the right of Charlie Kirk and harassed him relentlessly.
People in the Groyper movement work in the White House and for Republican Congress people. This is something that is part of the far-right world and part of normal politics, and this is incredibly dangerous. It's not that long ago that people's careers ended if they were associated with Nick Fuentes, and now they are just walking along the halls. If you're a young right-winger, you know who Nick Fuentes is, either because you're a follower of his and you look up to him, or you're incredibly against him. You have to work around the reality that Nick Fuentes exists. Nick Fuentes and his Groyper movement represent a much darker future, even more than you can ever imagine from the MAGA movement, which is quite extreme in its own extent. But this is a different vein that could possibly occur, and it is something that we have to all understand that is out there, and preying upon the insecurities of young men that Nick Fuentes is able to recruit across the internet. And this is a dangerous thing for everyone, everywhere. Now, all of this culminates in understanding one final thing. This is based around a theory called accelerationism. This is the idea that if you continue to make things worse, you can kick off the great revolutionary change that you want.
Which is absurd. That's not how it works. That's not how it has ever worked. And trust me, if you get there, if you make it to the point where a revolution is possible, your chances of making it through that revolution alive are pretty slim anyway. Accelerationism is the stupidest shit I have ever heard in my life.
For Nick, he wants to create the literal race war, that he can achieve his final battle in the fascistic sense of this, where all of his enemies are destroyed and he gets to reign supreme as the great leader. And that is a real thing that he wants. That is a real thing that his followers believe.
And does this sound familiar at all? Like, what do you think is happening right now since Charlie Kirk died? Tensions are at an absolute boiling point now.
And they are willing to do anything for Nick to make that happen. Thank you for watching. Please do some engagement. And
anyway, yeah, disturbing stuff. But, to put a cap on this, to be perfectly honest with you, there are conspiracy theories flying all over the place on the left. It's wild to see. The left has a conspiracy theory problem, seriously. The idea that Charlie Kirk isn't dead even, like he's secretly alive, is a conspiracy that I've seen. The conspiracy that he was secretly taken out by Donald Trump is his big elaborate plan. The conspiracy that Donald Trump was not actually attacked in Butler, Pennsylvania, it's absurd. It's all absurd. I'm sorry, man. We're going to have to address this before we can move forward as a movement on the left. This conspiracy problem. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.